My unhinged mother-in-law spread vicious lies to my entire family, claiming I was coercing my daughter into transitioning, then orchestrated a plan to kidnap her. In response, I dragged her deranged fixation into the glaring light of public scrutiny. From the start, my mother-in-law acted as though the universe bowed to her whims. At our wedding, she showed up in a floor-length ivory gown, practically indistinguishable from white, paired with a matching veil. I wasn't even shocked. By then, I'd already come to terms with the fact that my husband's family was wildly dysfunctional. Take my first visit to his brothers, Terrence and Marcus, in their cramped apartment. It was sweltering at 90 degrees outside, yet they'd blasted the AC so high the indoor temperature plunged to a frigid 40. When I hesitantly asked, "Hey, do you mind if I turn the air down?" Terrence exploded. "Oh, wow! We let you into our home, and now you're barking orders?" His face flushed crimson, while Marcus balled his fists until his knuckles bleached white. Still, compared to their mother, Terrence and Marcus were saints. My husband had introduced me at Marcus's birthday party. Terrence hadn't attended, and things seemed civil. Until their mom, entirely unprompted, began airing Terrence's embarrassing secrets to the room, loudly declaring he needed to shed 50 pounds. Later, she'd corner Terrence alone and ruthlessly critique Marcus instead. It was her twisted strategy to remain the sun in everyone's orbit. The wedding dress debacle and her toxic mind games cemented her reputation as a master manipulator and chaos agent. Yet, despite it all, I hoped my kids could know their grandmother. So when planning my gender reveal party, I extended an invitation, sort of. The event started at 7:30 p.m., but I told her 9 o'clock, a harmless fib to minimize her damage, though that backfired in its own way. Of course, she still found a way to mess everything up. The moment she barged in, I sliced into the cake, revealing vibrant blue frosting. My heart soared. My husband grabbed my hand and spun me in a giddy circle. I turned, expecting a roomful of shared joy. Instead, every guest wore the same strained plastic grin, the kind flight attendants flash when turbulence hits and they're hiding panic. For a moment, I doubted myself, until I unwrapped the gifts. Every single one screamed boy. Tiny sneakers, roaring dinosaur toys, miniature trucks. Call it maternal intuition, but I knew my mother-in-law had orchestrated this. While guests devoured the Wingstop spread, my husband and I cornered her. "I hope you're here to thank me," she snapped before we could speak. "What are you talking about?" my husband groaned, pinching the bridge of his nose. "I was the one who found out it's a boy," she crowed. "So now you've got proper gifts. You've hogged the spotlight your whole life. Can't you let us have one night?" His retort left me speechless, equal parts pride and disbelief. Her face flushed beet red, and she shot me a venomous glare, as if I'd orchestrated this showdown. My husband didn't argue further. He wordlessly snatched her shoes and coat, thrust them into her arms, and held the front door wide. The rest of the pregnancy sailed smoothly, so we skipped a final ultrasound, opting to save funds for Owen's nursery. We meant my husband, really. My swollen feet had ballooned to the point where even shuffling felt like agony. He painted the walls blue, assembled shelves, set up a crib, and strung Spider-Man-themed IKEA lights, all solo, without a single hint or plea for help. Ladies, let this be your memo. Never accept less. Weeks later, as I cradled my newborn, fury surged through me like a live wire. Pregnancy hormones and bone-deep exhaustion couldn't dull the truth. We'd been duped. Baby Owen was, in fact, Bella, a perfect, pink-cheeked girl. My mother-in-law lurked in the waiting room, poised to swoop in, but my husband barred her entry. I caught his hissed, "What the hell is wrong with you? I wasted days and a small fortune building a boy's room." Her response? A shrill, grating cackle, ugly, deafening, and dripping with spite. For a second, I swore the window panes would shatter from the sheer force of her laughter. "Why so serious, R?" she shrieked, her voice ricocheting off the hospital walls. Even the nurses exchanged appalled glances. My husband flagged down a security guard, who, sensing the nuclear tension, promptly herded her out like a feral cat. When he returned, his jaw set like stone, he vowed, "We're cutting her off. Bella will never know that woman exists." Those first fragile days home should have been sacred. Instead, my mother-in-law weaponized them. One dawn, a thunderous knock jolted me awake. Not her, CPS. The agent was a walking stereotype. One AirPod blared Cardi B while she smacked gum, mouth gaping like a fish. She bulldozed past me, zeroing in on Bella's nursery. "Yep, called it," she announced, scanning the room. "We received an anonymous tip alleging you're coercing your infant daughter to transition. Got a backup plan for where she'll stay?" Tears blurred my vision as the ludicrousness of it all crashed over me. My shirt reeked of sour milk and baby vomit. My hair hadn't seen shampoo in 2 days. Defending my parenting to this stranger felt like screaming into a void. Miraculously, after an agonizing back and forth, flashing diaper stocks, breastfeeding logs, Bella's pristine checkup records, the agent finally conceded there was no case. She vanished faster than she'd arrived. That night, my husband and I clutched each other in the dark, trembling. "We can't stay here," he muttered. We agreed staying near his mother was playing Russian roulette with our lives. In under a month, we'd secured a house 3 counties over, far enough, we prayed, to throw her off our trail. Packing with a newborn felt like running a marathon through quicksand, but Bella's safety, and what remained of our mental health, was non-negotiable. When the final box was taped shut, we swore an unspoken oath. Fresh start, ironclad boundaries, no compromises. If physical distance couldn't shield us, nothing would. The early months in our new home felt like a balm. Bella blossomed, her giggles echoing through sunlit rooms. My husband landed a higher-paying job post-move, and slowly, the fractured pieces of my identity began knitting back together. The house itself seemed to breathe with us. Sprawling windows bathed the hardwood floors in golden light, creating warm patches where Bella would sprawl on her playmat, kicking her chubby legs with the fervor of a tiny Olympian. We'd deliberately picked a neighborhood boasting top-rated schools, chatty retirees who waved from porches, and zero ties to my mother-in-law's orbit. But tranquility is a fragile thing when your nemesis thrives on chaos, even from miles away. The first crack appeared as a Facebook message from Marcus. "Hey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you guys in a while." Innocuous, yet it prickled like a splinter. Marcus wasn't the checking-in type. His idea of communication was liking a 3-year-old meme. I let the message simmer in my inbox for hours before replying with sterile updates and a few sanitized Bella photos. A week later, Terrence called my husband, raging about something trivial. They talked for 53 minutes. Stats on the Eagles' latest loss, office gossip, zero mentions of his mother, or our vanishing act. Too clean. My husband's laughter rang hollow, like a sitcom laugh track, and I dug my nails into my palms until they throbbed. "You think she's using them?" I whispered after he hung up. He shrugged, jaw tight, phone clattering onto the counter. "Maybe, but they're still family." I bit my tongue. Blood ties were a labyrinth, and I got his hesitation to torch every bridge. But every stroll with Bella's stroller now felt surveilled. I'd catch myself scanning parked cars for familiar silhouettes, flinching at creaks in the hallway. Then the package arrived. Baby Owen glared from the label in block letters, no return address. Inside, a cobalt blue blanket, fuzzy and deceptively soft, with a note. "For my grandson, Grandma loves you." Rage and dread coiled in my throat like smoke. I hurled it into the trash, hands trembling so violently, I nearly toppled the entire bin. The blanket's plush fibers felt venomous as I shoved it deep into the trash, entombing it beneath rancid coffee grounds and onion skins. How did she track us here? "We're not running again," I hissed to my husband that evening, my voice frayed. "She's hunting us." He nodded, silent and steely, testing every window lock with methodical fury. "I'll confront Marcus and Terrence, warn them not to leak our address." But the damage was done. The following afternoon, I wheeled Bella's stroller through the grocery store, the fluorescent lights humming like agitated wasps. The linoleum squeaked under the stroller's wheels as I zigzagged aisles, my skin prickling with the weight of unseen eyes. Turning into the cereal section, I froze. There she stood, mother-in-law, anchored at the far end, clutching a Cheerios box. Her smirk was razor-sharp. Crimson nails drummed the cardboard like a predator tapping glass. I whipped the stroller around, toppling a tower of granola bars. Boxes exploded across the floor as shoppers gaped. Abandoning my cart, I bolted for the exit, keys jangling like panic bells. Bella's car seat straps became a fumbling nightmare. My hands slick with sweat, heart jackhammering despite the store's Arctic chill. Peeling out of the lot, I glimpsed her in the rearview, strolling leisurely to her car, grin intact. No chase, no theatrics. The message was clear. She'd won. Our sanctuary was breached. The drive home was a blur of rearview paranoia. "She's here," I sobbed to my husband. "She found us." By nightfall, security cameras glared from every corner, and a locksmith's grinding tools screeched as I cradled Bella, her whimpers mirroring my frayed nerves. My husband grilled Marcus and Terrence, but both swore innocence, their denials hollow as wind through bones. Either the brothers were complicit, or my mother-in-law had tapped into darker resources. The next dawn, a business card materialized under our door like a venomous leaf. Corey Daniels, family law attorney. The back bore a scrawled promise, specializing in restraining orders, grandparents' rights, first consult free. The card itself reeked of privilege. Thick, cream-colored stock, embossed lettering glinting smugly in the morning sun. It hadn't occurred to me she'd weaponized the courts. Nausea surged as I passed it to my husband. His frown carved trenches into his brow. Corey surprised us the next day, younger than anticipated, with the gentle gaze of a therapist and the clipped efficiency of a sniper. His office smelled like a library crossed with a coffeehouse, mahogany, leather, and bitter espresso. Diplomas hung with military precision behind his spotless desk. "Based on her history," he began, "she's got no grounds for grandparents' rights, but that won't stop her from bleeding you dry with filings." His keyboard clattered like gunfire as he transcribed our trauma. We filed the restraining order that same afternoon. The paperwork was simple. The emotional toll was not. I regurgitated every wound. The ivory wedding dress, the CPS ambush, the grocery store showdown, my voice splintering as my husband's grip anchored me. "Hearings next month," Corey said, sliding a binder thick as a cinder block across the table. Document everything until then. A misplaced receipt could be Exhibit A. For 14 days, silence smothered us. Heavy, unnatural. I flinched at mail slots clattering, memorized license plates of slow-driving sedans. My husband mounted a blinking doorbell cam and floodlights that bathed the yard in sterile white. We slept like soldiers on watch, ears tuned for the click of a key we'd never given her. Our home had become a bunker, every window a potential breach, every shadow a threat. The unrelenting hypervigilance carved bruises beneath my eyes and turned my shoulders into knots of wrought iron. Then the letters began. Not to our address. She wasn't that reckless. But to my office, my husband's job, even Bella's pediatrician. Identical plain white envelopes, crisp as subpoenas, addresses typed in sterile font. No fingerprints, no return trails, just poison penned as concern. My boss Tatum summoned me to their glass-walled office. The air smelled of jasmine tea and uneasy silence as I sank into the chair opposite their desk. I know this is garbage, they said, sliding an unopened envelope toward me, but you should see it. Their silver earrings trembled as they shook their head, empathy sharpening their gaze. I slit the envelope with a shaky thumb. The letter inside unfurled like a snake, paragraphs accusing me of postpartum psychosis, of imposing gender dysphoria on an infant who couldn't yet hold her head up. The words concerned grandmother loomed at the bottom, a signature dripping with venom. She's trying to destroy my career, I rasped. Tatum's teacup clinked as they set it down. Not here she isn't, but warn anyone else who might get these. I spent the afternoon burning through phone calls, former bosses, our landlord, Bella's daycare. Most had already been targeted. Some dismissed the letters as spam. Others hesitated, their voices laced with doubt. Brenda, the daycare director, broke down crying. Someone's called daily asking about Bella. At first we thought it was you, but the voice was older. Ice flooded my veins. What did you tell her? I hissed, white-knuckling my phone. Nothing concrete, Brenda sniffled. But she knew your names, birthdays, claimed she was your emergency contact during surgery. I spent that evening rewriting every form, slapping passwords on Bella's files like padlocks. No information without the code. No exceptions for grandmothers, real or imagined. Each keystroke felt like building a moat, brick by brick, around our crumbling castle. The restraining order hearing loomed like a lifeline. But my mother-in-law wasn't waiting. She launched her next salvo, a Facebook group titled Save Owen. Its profile picture, a lone blue balloon against a void. The description seethed with sanctimony. Supporting parents of gender-confused children. Pray for my grandson Owen, whose deluded parents are forcing him to live as Bella. Within days, 200 strangers flocked to her crusade. I discovered it late one night, my face bathed in the cold blue glare of my laptop. My sister called first, voice shredded. It's horrible, she wept. She's posting baby photos. I don't know how she got them. Begging for prayer warriors to stage a divine intervention. The comments section boiled with zealots. We'll rescue that precious boy. God's wrath is coming. I flagged the group immediately, but Facebook's reply was a gut punch. No violations found. The automated message glowed on my screen, a digital shrug. Then, the day before the hearing, she struck again. I arrived at daycare to find her holding court in the lobby, surrounded by wide-eyed parents. The walls, plastered with cartoon animals and alphabet posters, clashed grotesquely with her theatrics. Here's Owen at the hospital, she cooed, brandishing her phone. They've brainwashed him since day one. Her crimson nails stabbed the screen, swiping through stolen photos. Rage detonated in my chest. Clutching Bella's car seat, I stormed toward her, phone raised to record. My heels cracked like gunshots on the linoleum. What the hell are you doing? She spun, feigning innocence. Her contouring was flawless, her eyeliner a weapon, but nothing could mask the triumph in her eyes. Oh, look, everyone. Owen's mother. We were just discussing his real needs. The other mothers froze, their expressions flickering between curiosity and unease. Arya, a regular with her twin boys, edged backward, her earlier intrigue dissolving into wary recognition of the venom crackling between us. You need to leave, I repeated, voice ironclad, despite the earthquake in my ribs. Now. Mother-in-law smoothed her silk scarf, the designer fabric slithering like a snake under her fingertips. Just bonding with fellow grandparents. Is friendship a felony now? The fluorescence sharpened her veneer of innocence, turning her smile into a glass shard. You're violating a restraining order, I shot back. And peddling lies. Her laugh erupted again, that same guttural cackle from the hospital, ricocheting off the daycare's saccharine murals of rainbows and teddy bears. I'm the liar, or are you the one gaslighting the world, and that poor, precious boy? Her scarlet-tipped claw darted toward Bella's car seat. I jerked it away, the handle gouging my palm as I pivoted to face the crowd. This woman's been stalking us since my daughter's birth, I announced, loud enough for the hallway to hear. She's sicked CPS on us with fake claims. Don't believe a word she says. My words wavered but held, eyes locking with each parent, a librarian clutching her toddler, a dad in paint-splattered jeans, Arya's raised chin. Arya stepped forward, her twins' wide eyes peeking from their double stroller. You should go, she said, voice firm. This isn't the place. Mother-in-law's mask shattered. You're all sheep, she spat, whirling on me. This isn't over. That boy deserves truth. Her accusatory finger jabbed the air, a blood-red talon, before she stormed out, leaving a wake of Chanel No. 5 and fury. My knees buckled. I collapsed into a plastic chair, its legs screeching against linoleum. Brenda materialized with a paper cup of water, her hands shaking as badly as mine. I'm so sorry, she swore she was on the pickup list. When I went to verify, she vanished. Arya sank beside me, the vinyl squealing under her weight. My mother-in-law tried to baptize my twins in her bathtub, she murmured, squeezing my arm. Some women turn love into a knife. Not this level, Arya admitted. But I get it. We've got your back. Her grip on my shoulder was a lifeline, yet the violation festered. My mother-in-law had desecrated one of Bella's last sanctuaries. The daycare's whimsical handprint murals and tinkling lullabies now felt laughably fragile against her malice. The hearing unfolded like a poorly scripted drama. My mother-in-law arrived flanked by a shark in a Brioni suit, her lawyer oozing faux sympathy. My client merely seeks a relationship with her grandson, he drawled, the courtroom's wood-paneled walls amplifying his theatrics. The parent's denial of biological reality is a form of neglect. The air reeked of lemon polish and dread. The bench gnawed into my tailbone as Corey rose. He dismantled her case with surgical precision. CPS reports, screenshots of the Save Owen group, security footage of her daycare ambush. The judge, a silver-haired woman with eyes like scalpels, leafed through the evidence, her reading glasses teetering on the tip of her nose. Mrs. Jenkins, she intoned, do you acknowledge your grandchild is legally and medically female? Mother-in-law straightened her blazer, pearls gleaming. Doctors, And do you understand, the judge continued, voice cool as a blade, that parental rights supersede grandparental opinions? Someone must protect that boy. Her shriek ricocheted off the vaulted ceiling. Spectators stiffened. Even her lawyer winced. The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Restraining order granted. 3 years, 500-foot radius, 0 contact, direct, indirect, or digital. Violations mean jail. Mother-in-law's gasp morphed into a screech. You can't, I have rights! Not to terrorize, the judge snapped. Adjourned. The gavel's echo lingered, a punctuation mark to our Pyrrhic victory. As we fled the courthouse, her howls chased us. He's my boy! Bella's tiny fist curled around my finger, oblivious to the war her existence had ignited. 3 years felt infinite, and yet, in the shadow of that woman's obsession, it was a flicker. The gavel's final crack still echoed in my bones as we spilled into the courthouse hallway. My husband crushed me against his chest, his familiar cologne, sandalwood and salt, muting the stale tang of bureaucracy clinging to his suit. It's over, he murmured into my hair. But I knew, predators don't retreat, they regroup. For 3 weeks, we clung to normalcy like a fraying rope. Bella mastered sitting upright, her giggle a sunburst in our lavender-painted nursery. I returned to work, my desk now haunted by a framed photo of her toothless grin. My husband transformed her room into a cosmos of silver stars, the chemical bite of fresh paint lingering like a promise. New beginnings, I told myself, even as I triple-checked door locks. Then the letter arrived. Child and Family Services glared from the envelope, a sibling agency to CPS, but sharper, colder. The accusations inside were grotesque. Medical transition of an infant via hormones and puberty blockers. My hands trembled, the paper hissing like a live wire. Bella, 6 months old, gnawed a rubber giraffe in her bouncer, drool glistening on her chin. The absurdity was almost comedic, if not for the state's embossed letterhead twisting lies into legitimacy. Corey's office smelled of burnt coffee as he scanned the document. A new low, he muttered, but flimsier than her last stunt. His pen stabbed the legal pad. We'll bury this with pediatric records. Normal checkups, normal vaccines, normal baby. Dr. Park's clinic reeked of antiseptic and betrayal. When I explained the allegations, her stethoscope slipped from her neck. This is insane, she breathed, eyes darting to Bella, who cooed obliviously. I'll write 3 affidavits if needed. No court would entertain this. Yet as she typed her statement, I stared at my daughter's onesie, smeared with sweet potato, and wondered what fresh hell waited in the wings. Restraining orders can't cage obsession. They can only delay it. Dr. Park's clinic, with its cartoon animal murals and shelves of rattles, clashed violently with her fury. She snatched the letter, her composure dissolving as she read. I'll draft a statement today, she spat, fingers already hammering her keyboard. Her white coat hissed against the leather chair as she leaned forward, a warrior in pastel scrubs. This isn't just harassment, it's dangerous propaganda. We buried the agency in paperwork. Bella's growth charts, vaccination records, every well-baby visit timestamped and notarized. The case evaporated within 48 hours, but the victory was ash in my mouth. Again, we'd been forced to justify not mutilating our child, to plead our humanity to strangers. Sleeplessness gnawed at me. My skull throbbed with migraines shaped like courtroom benches. She's unraveling, my husband said, flipping through the latest legal filings like a detective hunting patterns. These lies, they're unhinged. He massaged his temples, shadows bruising his under eyes. Bella gurgled on my lap, her milky scent a balm. But they work, I whispered. Every accusation forces us to prove we're not monsters. She wants us exhausted, paranoid. My sister's call came at dusk, her voice crackling with vindication. You'll die, she breathed. Your nightmare just applied to my company. HR's portal flagged her resume. She used her maiden name. No idea I'm here. I shot upright, pacing the kitchen's cold tiles. What's on it? Family Caregiving Services, she sneered. Claims she's been a private nanny for 5 years. Oh, and a BS degree in early childhood ed from State U. The phone slipped in my sweaty grip. She's never nannied, and she dropped out sophomore year. Through the window, dusk bled into night. Somewhere my mother-in-law was weaving fresh lies, but this time she'd left a thread we could pull. The kitchen tiles leached cold into my soles as my sister's words sank in. Fraud. Not just petty lies or emotional warfare. This was a felony, crisp and prosecutable. For the first time since Bella's birth, hope flickered, sharp and bright. Corey's office had become our war room, its leather-bound books and diplomas now allies. Criminal charges? Unlikely, he said, steepling his fingers. But we can gut her credibility, burn her reputation to ash. My sister weaponized HR protocols. Mother-in-law's application was flagged, dissected. State University's registrar confirmed it. No degree, no enrollment, nothing. The automated rejection email was symphony. We didn't stop there. We cataloged her fiction. Phantom nanny gigs, imaginary volunteer hours, a resume woven from spider silk. The dossier landed on her boss's desk, a petty tyrant at a third-rate accounting firm. Her termination letter arrived Friday at 5 p.m. Classic. It's a scratch, I told my husband, watching Bella gum a teething ring. But she'll bleed from it. Marcus's call came at midnight, his voice stripped of its usual swagger. Mom's peddling bruises now. The line hissed like a struck match. Showed up with photos, claims you beat Bella. My husband jabbed speakerphone, his grip whitening around the device. We'd never... I know, Marcus cut in. The bruises looked like Halloween makeup, but Terrence, he's frothing. Talking cops, lawyers, the works. Acid scalded my throat. I pictured Terrence, all bulk and blind loyalty, storming some agency with Polaroids of staged trauma. Bella cooed, oblivious, her onesie dotted with drool. The tile's chill climbed my legs. Desperation had tipped her hand, but desperation with nothing left to lose was a grenade without a pin. Marcus's silence stretched, thick with static and unsaid history. When he finally spoke, his voice rasped like gravel. I believe you. After the hospital. After Bella. I've been replaying her mind games. How she'd whisper shit about Terrence to me, then trash me to him. I'm done being her puppet. A crack in the family fortress. Small but seismic. My shoulders loosened as if someone had lifted a sandbag. Would you put that in writing? I asked, towing the line between hope and desperation. If she weaponizes Terrence again. I'll do better. Marcus's exhale hissed through the speaker. She's holed up at Terrence's since getting fired. They're brewing another storm. That night, his text glowed like a flare in the dark. Anonymous tip tomorrow. Bruise photos, 9 a.m. My husband's face flickered in the phone's cold light, shadows pooling under his eyes. We moved like SWAT. Pre-dawn call to Dr. Park, who squeezed us in at sunrise. The clinic hummed with fluorescent glare as Bella babbled at wall decals of grinning dolphins. Dr. Park's hands, steady, methodical, photographed every milky fold of skin, every dimpled knee, her pen scratching furiously. Not a single mark, she muttered, half to herself. I'll testify to that. CPS arrived at 3 p.m. A weary-eyed agent this time, her badge askew. We ambushed her with evidence before she could speak. Time-stamped videos of Bella gumming avocado slices, Dr. Park's forensic report, Marcus's sworn affidavit. The woman's clipboard wilted in her lap as she flipped pages, cheeks flushing. Protocol requires we check, she mumbled, avoiding our gaze. But this'll be flagged as malicious. Sunlight sliced through our blinds, illuminating dust motes swirling like suspended ash. As the door clicked shut behind her, I sagged against the couch, Bella's curls tickling my chin. Another battle won. But the war? It lived in Terrence's clenched fists, in Marcus's fragile loyalty, in every unopened envelope. The CPS agent lingered at the threshold, her silhouette framed by midday sun. Off the record? She lowered her voice, eyes darting to Bella's nursery. Consider relocating. Out of state. People like her. They don't quit until they've burned every bridge and the river. The door clicked shut, but her warning seeped into the walls, souring the air. Move again. The thought curdled in my gut. Bella deserved roots, not a life spent fleeing shadows. That night, I watched sleep. Rosebud lips parted, lashes dusting plump cheeks, Her innocence a rebuke to the ugliness of hunting her. Marcus's text arrived at dawn. Check email now. The video loaded with a glacial slowness that made my pulse scream. There she was, perched at Terrence's grease-stained kitchen table, dabbing a makeup sponge on a doll's plastic limb. Harsh overhead light carved trenches under her eyes as she blended mauve and ochre into sickly bruises. Child Services looks for radial patterns, she lectured, her voice clinical. Blend the edges, here, like this. Terrence's shadow loomed off camera. What if they figure it's fake? Doesn't matter. She didn't glance up. Every investigation erodes them. They'll crack, and then... The sponge stilled. Owen comes home. We'll undo the damage. Her calm sliced deeper than any rant. I forwarded the video to Corey, my fingers numb. His reply blazed back. Bingo. Criminal harassment, fraud, filing false docs. Call now. Relief buckled my knees. I slid to the floor, phone clutched to my chest, as Corey's team mobilized. They arrested her at Terrence's apartment at 5:03 a.m. The mugshot splashed across local news. Grandmother jailed in elaborate child abuse hoax. The article anonymized us as The Family, but her schemes read like a thriller plot. Fake bruises, forged CPS pleas, a doll smeared with stage makeup. Surreal didn't cover it. Terrence's call erupted that evening, his roar vibrating the speaker. How could you jail Mom? She just wanted to help. My husband's knuckles whitened around his phone. Help who? By faking bruises? By trying to steal our daughter? His voice held steady, but his eyes, God, his eyes, were shipwrecks. Silence, then a dial tone. Somewhere a judge revoked her bail. Somewhere Marcus sent a single text. Stay safe. And somewhere beyond the chaos, Bella laughed, her joy a fragile anthem against the storm. Marcus's voice carried the weight of a man shedding chains. It had to stop, he repeated, quieter this time. I should've. Years ago. The admission hung between us, raw and sour, like a confession pried from a wound. Mother-in-law's bail release came with shackles, literal ones. The ankle monitor gleamed like a beetle on her calf, its LED blinking a 500-foot force field. For the first time since Bella's birth, I inhaled without tasting metal. The trial loomed, a storm cloud on the horizon. But the eye of the storm? It gifted us stolen moments. My husband's laughter, as Bella clapped her first mama. Nights where sleep came not from collapse, but from the tentative belief that maybe the monster stayed caged. 3 days later, the illusion shattered. The grocery store parking lot baked under a merciless sun, asphalt radiating heat like a griddle. I loaded bags into the trunk. Bella's car seat perched precariously on the cart. A shadow fell across the diapers. Excuse me. Are you Bella's mom? The woman stood too close, her perfume cloying, vanilla and nicotine. My keys slid between my knuckles on instinct, a reflex honed after dark subway rides and alleyway shortcuts. Who's asking? I wanted to snarl, but civility was armor now. Amber, she purred, extending a hand dotted with turquoise rings. A friend of your mother-in-law's. She's told me so much about sweet Owen. The name was a sucker punch. Bella cooed obliviously in her seat, kicking sunbeam-dappled feet. I blocked Amber's sightline, my body a shield. Her name is Bella. Walk away. Amber's smile sharpened. We all want what's best for the child, she crooned, leaning in. Let's chat somewhere. Quieter. The threat slithered under my skin. I thumbed 911, the screen's glow reflecting in her cat-eyed glasses. You're violating a restraining order. Leave. Her mask slipped. That boy will come home, she hissed, backing away. We're patient. We're everywhere. Her heels clicked toward a dusty sedan, its windshield cracked like a spider's web. I memorized the plate, my pulse a war drum, as Bella blew raspberries at the sky. The silver sedan crawled out of the lot, tires crunching gravel with deliberate slowness, a predator savoring the chase. Her threat coiled in my gut like a live wire. My hands shook so violently, the steering wheel blurred as I drove home. Every shadow in the rearview, a potential ambush. The business card stabbed from beneath the windshield wiper like a knife. Amber Torres, family advocate, it declared, her number embossed beneath a crest of clasped hands and a child's silhouette, protecting children's true identities. The slogan curdled my stomach. She hadn't just recruited allies, she'd built a militia. My husband answered on the first ring. She knew Bella's name, I choked, the card crumpling in my fist. Called her Owen. She's your mother's soldier. Silence. Then, Steele. Photograph the card. Send it to Corey, now. I obeyed, then sat paralyzed in the driver's seat, the July heat thickening the air to syrup. Only when my husband's truck roared into the driveway did I unlock the doors. He crushed me to his chest, his work shirt smelling of sawdust and safety. Corey says this is gold, he murmured into my hair. Using proxies violates her bail. We've got her. But how do we prove they're connected? I demanded, fleeing to the kitchen. The milk carton slipped, sloshing cream-white liquid onto the tiles. We don't. He steadied my wrist, mopping the spill. The court assumes guilt unless she proves innocence. Her move. Her trap. That night, we became ghosts in our own life. New cameras glared from every eave. I rotated grocery stores like witness protection. Bella's daycare pickup became a roulette wheel. His turn, mine, the neighbors. Paranoia was our new liturgy. Corey's call came at dawn. Emergency hearing, 9 a.m., dressed like jurors. The courtroom stank of lemon disinfectant and ambition. Mother-in-law sat prim in a navy pantsuit, her lawyer's cufflinks glinting like shivs. But her eyes, oh, her eyes, burned with a zealot's fire. She'd traded stealth for siege, and the war had just begun. Her gaze snagged on us as we entered, a flicker of venom before her face smoothed into marble. The courtroom, once a sterile arena, now felt claustrophobic, the air thick with the musk of desperation and lemon-scented floor wax. The judge sifted through evidence like a coroner dissecting a corpse. The glossy business card, my trembling affidavit, and finally, the grainy security footage. On the monitor, Amber's figure pixelated as she leaned into the silver sedan's passenger window, where my mother-in-law sat haloed by dashboard glow. Their heads tilted conspiratorially, a pantomime of whispers. "Your Honor," her lawyer blustered, tugging at a tie strangling his neck, "my client merely accepted a ride. She had no knowledge of Miss Torres' enthusiasms." The judge's glasses slid down her nose as she fixed him with a glare sharp enough to flay. "The footage shows animated discussion, not chauffeured silence. This is a flagrant breach." Her gavel hovered, a sword above the scales. "Bail is revoked." Mother-in-law erupted like a geyser. "You can't," she shrieked, manicured finger jabbing our direction. "They're the criminals, torturing that boy." The bailiff's grip tightened as her chignon unraveled, tendrils of hair lashing her face like Medusa's snakes. The gavel fell. "Remove her." As they dragged her out, her screams chased us. "Save Owen!" until the doors swallowed her whole. Relief curdled with grief. This woman had torched her family, her freedom, her very sanity on the pyre of her delusion. Outside, Marcus paced beneath skeletal courthouse trees. "Well?" My husband recounted the verdict while I numbly scrolled my phone. 3 missed calls. Daycare. Ice flooded my veins. Brenda answered on the first ring. "Is Bella?" "She's safe," Brenda cut in, but her pause was a grenade pin pulled. "But we had an incident this morning. A woman named Amber tried to pick up Bella," Brenda said. "Had a fake ID with your name, even your old address." The world tilted. I braced against a parking meter, its metal searing my palm. What if they'd gotten the password wrong? What happened? My voice cracked, the phone slickened my grip. The new protocols worked. Brenda's steadiness was an anchor. She couldn't recite the code word, Magnolia, so we stalled. Police are here now, pulling footage. I sagged against the courthouse steps, the words spilling out to my husband and Marcus. Relief curdled with dread. They'd touched her, come that close. Marcus paled, fist clenched. "This isn't just Mom anymore. She's built a cult. We need to map this network," my husband growled, already dialing the detective. Detective Will Scott's office was a study in contrasts. A hulking man with a teddy bear's eyes, wedged behind a desk prisoned by manila folders. "Amber's phone logs show 5 regular contacts," he said, sliding a spiderweb diagram across the desk. "Numbers branched like mycelium, infecting the page. Organized harassment, maybe deeper." Bella tugged my necklace, giggling at the sparkle, while I died 1,000 deaths. "What do we do?" "Document everything." His pen drummed a war beat. "Shift routines. Relocate temporarily. No." The word left no room for debate. Uproot again? Let her poison chase us through another state? "This is our home." Detective Scott nodded, conceding. "Then we flood your streets with patrols, lights, eyes." The weeks that followed were purgatory. Mother-in-law moldered in custody, but her disciples kept faith. Florists, mistakenly, delivering blue roses to our door. Social media accounts, reposting Save Owen rhetoric. A car idling too long outside the pediatrician's. We lived like museum exhibits, observed, analyzed, never untouched. The harassment metastasized. Anonymous letters arrived daily, scrawled in block letters, reeking of dime store perfume, demanding we free Owen from gender mutilation. Strange cars idled at our curb, headlights off, engines growling in the dark. A website sprang up overnight. Free Owen's grandma. Its banner, a photoshopped image of mother-in-law as a saintly martyr, our address bolded beneath. We documented it all. The tire tracks, the IP addresses, the letters' postmarks, feeding the beast of evidence. Detective Scott's updates became grim rituals. "Most of these keyboard warriors fold when subpoenas hit," he said, flipping through a dossier thick as a cinder block. "Amber's looking at felony impersonation. Trials in 90 days, stay sharp till then." We carved normalcy from the chaos. Bella became a whirlwind on all fours, trailing her stuffed elephant like a royal consort. Her babbling, "Mama, Dada, elephant," was a lullaby against the static of dread. We fought for this. Bath time giggles, avocado smeared across high chairs, the sacred monotony of bedtime stories. Then Terrence came. He stood on our porch at twilight, a specter in a leather jacket, eyes raw as open wounds. We need to talk. About Mom. We let him in, our security cameras tracking his every twitch. He perched on the couch, spine rigid, and unzipped his backpack. I believed her, he rasped, dumping journals onto the coffee table. Leather-bound, spines cracked, pages swollen with underlinings and exclamation points. Her diaries, they're insane. I opened the top journal. Her handwriting slithered across the page. Phase 1, isolate Marcus from Terrence. Phase 2, gaslight Dill about wedding dress. Phase 3, recruit church group for Owen's rescue. Deeper in, a kidnapping blueprint. Sedative in formula. Disable GPS. Swap license plates at rest stop. My fingers trembled. Bile coated my tongue. She wanted to take her, Terrence whispered. I thought it was just grandma nonsense, but this. He gestured to the journals, voice breaking. I'm sorry, Christ, I'm sorry. My husband's hand found his brother's shoulder, the gesture heavy with decades of fractured loyalty. She trained us to doubt ourselves, to trust her chaos over our own guts. Outside, the street lamps flickered on. Bella's elephant lay abandoned on the rug, one button eye glinting in the half-light. The journals sprawled between us. A confession, a weapon, a beginning. The gesture fractured something in Terrence. He crumpled, face buried in calloused hands, shoulders shuddering silently. We delivered the journals to Detective Scott that night under the sterile glare of police fluorescence. His jaw tightened as he flipped pages, yellow sticky notes blooming like warning flags. This isn't just harassment, it's a blueprint for abduction, he muttered, pen circling phrases, sedative dosage, border crossing routes, fake birth certificate. We're adding conspiracy and attempted kidnapping charges. The trial approach loomed like a fever dream. Mother-in-law's disciples scattered like roaches under light. Even zealots balked at felony risks. On the first morning, we arrived to find a human barricade. Neighbors gripping coffee cups, daycare moms with strollers, Arya flanked by her twins waving tiny flags. Nobody terrorizes our tribe, Arya declared, pulling me into a lavender-scented hug. Their solidarity was armor as we climbed the steps, cameras flashing like lightning. Inside, the trial was a gutting. Her lawyer peddled nostalgia, a doting grandma lost in modern times, but the evidence avalanche buried him. Falsified CPS records, the stage makeup doll, journals spilling decades of scheming, Marcus and Terrence's testimonies hung in the air like smoke. She turned us into puppets before we could tie our shoes. The worst was her testimony. She took the stand pristine in pearls, composure cracking only when the prosecutor brandished her journal. You wrote about deprogramming camps, he said, the worn leather spine creaking in his grip. What did that entail? Saving him from this transgender cult. Her shriek sawed through the room. The child's name is Bella, the prosecutor corrected, glacial. Born female, confirmed by doctors, legal records, her parents. Doctors lie. Spittle dotted the microphone. That boy needs me to. So you alone know the truth? He tilted his head, a hawk circling. Overrule physicians, courts, the child's own family? Her knuckles bleached bone white around the journal. Each question tightened the vice until her delusions hung naked, a grotesque exhibit for the jury. By the end, even her lawyer wouldn't meet her eye. I know my grandson. Mother-in-law's scream clawed the courtroom air, her finger jabbing toward Bella, who buried her face in my shoulder. Jurors recoiled as if scalded. They're the lunatics, forcing him into this disgusting charade. Her voice spiraled into a shriek that rattled the light fixtures, her final unraveling. The jury's verdict took 4 glacial hours. Guilty, all charges. The judge's gavel fell like an axe. 8 years imprisonment with mandatory psychiatric evaluation. As the bailiff clamped cuffs on her wrists, she twisted toward us. No remorse, only that glacial, reptilian glare. This isn't over, it hissed. I see him. I'll always see him. My husband's arm tightened around me as her footsteps faded into the courthouse bowels. It's over? He murmured outside, squinting into the noon sun. Shadows clung to us like cobwebs despite the glare. For now, I said, Bella's curls tickling my chin. But we'll watch, always. That evening, our house hummed with laughter and clinking glasses. Bella held court, her bye-bye waves met with tearful applause. She's perfect, my sister breathed, nuzzling her neck. And safe. The word hung like a vow, sweet and fragile. Marcus cornered me by the snack table, his breath minted with gin. Found something else. He slid a Polaroid from his pocket. Our wedding day, my face sliced out with surgical precision, leaving a jagged hole. Dozens more followed, picnics, birthdays, all mutilated. How long? I whispered, the gaping voids in the photos like portals to her madness. Forever. He arranged crackers in precise rows, therapy in mundanity. Her normal was our prison. Later, the porch swing creaked a lullaby. Fireflies winked like distant stars as my husband's thumb traced my knuckles. Will she ever? The silence stretched, filled with cicada song and the ghost of her rage. No, he said at last. Moonlight caught the silver in his hair, new since the trial. But we did. Bella's monitor crackled with her sleep sighs. Somewhere, a train whistle mourned. We swayed, two survivors in the dark, stitching our future with quiet resolve.